Okay, this chapter is about the forecasting. Since we went over the regression over in the time series, so actually the regression time series is a lot of times that's the one way to make a forecast. So I will go over the pretty short overview of the forecasting, but these days a lot of machine learning techniques can be used for the forecasting here, but I will just introduce what was the forecasting, the basic forecasting. Forecast is a statement about the future value. So we will use, because how can I forecast the future? So we're gonna use our historical data. So past what actually happened, using the past information, using that information we trying to make a forecast. So what is it gonna be? So forecasts are not perfect because this is a random variation is always present. So we cannot find out all the factors that affected that one, or even though I know all the factors, but still, can we measure that factor exactly? So there is always the randomness is involved. So forecasting are not perfect. Actually, some people say all forecasts are wrong. However, some forecasts are useful. Why we need a forecast is because we have to make a decision. We have to prepare the future. In business, it's like that. If you make a forecast and then our demand is gonna go up, maybe you need to decide to build a new factory. But the building factory takes time. Maybe sometimes it takes like a 1 year, 2 years to build up. So which means when you need it, this should be already the building factory should be done, right? So which means you have to make a decision 1 or 2 years earlier. So when you make a decision, okay, let's build the new building, new factory, at that time you don't need that factory, right? That's why you have to make a forecast, and then according to that forecast, you're gonna make a decision. So that's why the forecasting is important. Yeah, if this is the exact forecasting, that's yeah, obviously that's better. But even though this is not perfect forecast, but we need forecast to make some decision. Forecasting approach can be two different things: a qualitative method or quantitative method. Qualitative method is about the intuition and the experience. So maybe we don't have a historical data or is totally new product. How can we forecast the demand? Then maybe we have to ask some expert who has a lot of experience on the introducing the new product. So we highly rely on the intuition and experience. However, the quantitative method is when we have enough historical data, right? And then we can use some mathematical technique. So even though I said a mathematical technique, but it's not that complicated one. And then the most complicated one in this chapter we were gonna say will be the regression. But these days, again, a lot of machine learning is jumped in for the forecasting techniques. So obviously, yeah, we will focus on the quantitative method because the qualitative method is, that's just rely on the experience. So I don't have much thing to talk about it. But quantitative method, yeah, this is something I can teach. So we will go over the quantitative method in this chapter. So quantitative forecasting step is to select the several forecasting method and then forecast the past. Why we do the past is there is an answer, right? If you forecast the past, because I know what happened last year or last month, so if you forecast last month using the data, um, the when you make a forecast using only the data at that time available, and then you make a forecast, and then you can tell how long your forecast was. If you actually forecast the future, but then you don't know how long it will be, right? That's why we forecast past. That's just to trying to evaluate our forecast. That's why the second step is the evaluating the forecast. Which method is most appropriate? Which one is most accurate? And then select the best. And then using the forecasting method, and then you forecast the future. Using that forecast, then we can make our decision, and then continuously monitor. So as time goes by, you are keep making forecasts, and then you will observe the actually what happened, and then you keep updating, which means maybe you have to change the forecasting method, or sometimes you have to change it, some parameters and so on. So quantitative method, we can have the time series model. Time series model is we use the past data, only using the past data, and then using that number. So actually we measure the same thing over time, and past data, using the past data, we will just forecast the future data. Okay, and causal model means once you figure it out, that cause something something. So sales is depend on the price. When price goes down, sales goes up. When we do the advertising, our sales goes up. Number of population is getting bigger and bigger, our sales goes up, right? Price goes down, advertising, population, and then using this relationship, we can make a forecast. This is basically the regression, right? So time series model is just only using if you are using sales, and then we use the sales data, past sales data, make a forecast. Using that data, making forecast of the future sales. But regression is the causal model, so you find out the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable.